If the machine is shut down now, I will start the cloning process of the node 1 to create another one. I'll click on clone, and it says welcome to the clone virtual machine wizard. I'll click on next. The current state in the virtual machine is what I should let it be selected as. Then I'll have to click on next again. I wouldn't use a create a linked clone. I will use create a full clone, because create a full clone can let this machine start independently. If I create a linked clone, I will have to start the first machine, and only then I'll be able to start the second machine as well. So it is better to use a create a full clone if at all you want to use this particular machine independently. Then I'll click next. I'll have to mention the node name over here, that is node 2, and then I will make the wait for the directory inside rack setup node 2, and that's it. I'll have to click on finish. Now it says preparing the clone operation. It will complete the then complete the full clone process, and then it says that it is done. So we will wait for that for the machine to get cloned, and then we will start the rest of the process. The cloning of the machine has been done now. It says preparing clone operation, like I said, creating full clone, and it says it is done. So all the operations for creating a virtual machine clone has been done. So I'll click on close, and then I'll be able to see a new machine over here, node 2. Since this machine node 2 is just superficially named as node 2, we will actually have to change the rest of the things inside it, like the host name, the Ethernet card, the IP addresses linked to the Ethernet card, and the Ethernet card names as well. So let me just start this machine, and then I'll start making the necessary changes. Only then we will be able to start performing the required prerequisites. So let us wait until the machine starts. The machine is up, and like you can see, it still shows as node1.cluster.com, which is not the name of this machine. Actually, it is just because we have cloned, that is the reason it shows node1.cluster.com, and we have to change it to node2.cluster.com. For that, I'll log in as root user, and I'll wait. Now I will have to check the host name first, since it was showing as node1.cluster.com. It still shows as node1.cluster.com. So I will have to change the node1.cluster.com name to node2.cluster.com. For that, I'll have to get into setup and network configuration. I'll maximize this, and now I'll get into the DNS configuration. Okay, looks like I need to open another terminal. Okay, since it was showing as node1.cluster.com under the host name, and we are required to change this, we'll get into setup, and under setup we have network configuration, and then we have DNS configuration. So over here there is something called as host name, which is mentioned as node1.cluster.com. We'll change it to node2.cluster.com. So it is node2.cluster.com now. Primary DNS is not required, so I'm just going to remove this. Then I have something called as DNS search path. There is a local domain added to cluster.com, so I will just remove local domain, since we are only going to use cluster.com. So I'll click on OK. Then I'll get into device configuration this time. So ETH0 is something which is mentioned over here. I'll get into ETH0. ETH0 reflects as, okay, we can make these changes a little later. I'll just cancel it for a while, and I'll save and quit. So it says you change the host name, and should the host name be set to the system now, and all that. You can just hit enter. Maybe I think you need to wait for a while. And yes, since it shows as node 1 over here, and we have just changed the host name, we will straight away uh, have to restart the machine. But before we restart the machine, there are certain other changes as well, which will take which will take effect only after the machine is rebooted. So we will also make those changes first. So the very first thing is we need to check the host name. Now it shows host node2.cluster.com. For this name to permanently change, take effect on the machine, we will have to reboot it. Right before that, since this machine is a clone machine, I have to change the Ethernet adapter, the IP addresses linked to the Ethernet cards. For that, I will click on this logo, right click on this logo, and then I'll have an option called Edit Connections. I'll get into Edit Connections. ETH0 and ETH1. If I get into ETH0, I could see the IP address of the machine 1, that is node 1 over here. This machine address is showing here because it is a clone machine. Therefore, I will just close this. I will delete this ETH0 and I'll also delete ETH1, because if we get into ETH1, we will be able to see the IP address that is the private interconnect or the private IP address of the machine 1 that we have assigned to machine 1. Since it is a clone, that is the reason it shows the same information. We have to delete this as well. So now we are left over with ETH2 and ETH3. So let us get into ETH2. I'll click on Edit. So this MAC address will actually define that this MAC address actually belongs to this particular machine only. Moreover, if I want to keep the same settings, since we are in a practice environment, I would also keep this as ETH0, and then I'll get into IPv4 settings. Then I'll click on Manual. I have an option called Add over here. I will have to add the IP address manually, that is 147.43.0.2, which is a class B IP address, and the subnet mask for the class B IP address will be 255.255.0.0, which is going to be which is permanently be there for this class only. Now I'll just have to make sure this is checked and available to all the users is also checked. I'll just have to click on Apply. Alright, so ETH0 is now set. We'll get into ETH3. We'll have to make some changes there as well. I'll get into right before that, I'll change the name of ETH3 or auto ETH3 to ETH1. Now I'll make the changes by putting the IP address manually, which is a private interconnect 192.168.0.2. Then the subnet mask for this is 255 or 255 or 255.0, which is the subnet mask for all the class C IP addresses. Okay, then I'll click on Apply. So I have ETH0 and ETH1 all set now. Right before these changes should take effect, there are certain more modifications that we are required to do. So as of now, I'll just close this, and I'll have to check. I'll actually have to restart the network service. So for that, I'll use service network restart. It says bringing up ETH0, ETH1 activated. So if I check the IP address now, if config, the IP addresses have taken effect. Now what I have mentioned the IP address name that are reflecting over here now, 147.43.0.2 with the subnet mask and 192.168.0.2 with the subnet mask. But the name of these adapters ETH2 and ETH3 are still showing the same. So for this, we'll get into etc. There's a file called udev, and then we have rules.d. If I get in here, I'll see a file called 70 persistent net rules. I'll have to open this file and then I'll make some changes. Let us quickly do that. Okay, I'm inside the file. These are the MAC addresses of your machine 1, that is node 1, which you can keep it, or if you want you can remove it. Moreover, if you do and you somehow don't have to use it, so you'll have to add a comment here as well. Okay, now since this MAC address belongs to your machine, but the machine ETH or the Ethernet name is showing as ETH2 over here, you will have to change it. So let us just check which is the public IP and which is the private IP. So ETH0, I'll select ETH0 and I'll click on edit, and ETH0 shows, let us just check the last 4 digits, 8A and 61. Alright, so I'll just close this, I'll keep this minimized. So I'll have to change this name, that is ETH2 to ETH0. So this is going to function as ETH0 now. Then same applies to this as well. I would want to check the MAC address of ETH1. It shows 8A and 6B. Alright, fine, that is correct. I'll close this, I'll keep this minimized, I'll change this ETH3 to ETH1. So now these ETH0 and ETH1 are not readable. You can actually remove them as well, but just not to disturb the system settings. I would just want them to be there. They are somehow of no use. So now these addresses will take place as ETH0 and ETH1, or take the place of ETH0 and ETH1 of the previous IPs, and I'll have to save and quit. Now if I check service network restart, okay, right before restarting the service, there is one more file where I can get into and make the changes. System config and then network scripts. Over here ETH0 is mentioned as so let me check what is inside ETH0, because this configuration is also mandatory to be checked. Okay, it shows the public IP. It means that we have successfully changed the stuff. So I'll also check the configuration of ETH1 adapter. Alright, so it shows 8A and 6B. So let me just reconfirm it with what the physical connections or the manipulations that I have done. So ETH0 is the public IP, right? 147.43.0.2, which is reflecting over here. I have to check the MAC address of that. It shows 8A and 61. Let us read the last 4 digits. Alright, that it is fine. So if this is the ETH0, then it obviously the other one will be 8A6B. That will apply, or that goes to ETH1. So everything is all set inside this. We will get back to setup, because we were supposed to make some changes over there. I'll get into network configuration. Now I will get into the device configuration. I'll get into ETH0. Now it shows 147.43.0.2 by itself, but the subnet mask is not mentioned over here, for which I have to make changes by myself. I actually did not enter the right value. Okay, now I'll enter the value 255.255.0.0 and I'll click on OK. Then ETH1, I just have to put the subnet mask here as well. Okay, I'll click on OK, and then I'll save it, save and quit. Now I'll have to restart the network service. The service network restart. Okay, it says ETH0, it is bringing ETH0 up, then it is bringing ETH1 up. Alright, so everything is all set. Now I need to check if the adapter names are changed or not. It still shows as ETH2 and ETH3. So like I said, it shows node 1 over here, though we have changed the host name to node 2 by getting inside the setup. Same thing will apply to this as well. We need to reboot the node or the machine to see that it should show as node 2 over here, and it should show as ETH0 and ETH1. So remember 147.43.0.2, which is the public IP, and for that the Ethernet adapter number is ETH0 is what I have just assigned, and for 192.168.0.2 I have assigned ETH1, but it still shows us 2 and 3. So for public it should show ETH0, and for private it should show ETH1, and for that we need to reboot the machine. So we will quickly reboot the machine and see if the changes have successfully taken place or not. So let us just reboot the machine. Machine is rebooted now. Now we can see that the name of the host, that is the machine, is changed to node2.cluster.com. I'll again log in as a root user to check about the other changes that are pretty mandatory for us, and let us just wait for the machine to start. Now we are required to check the other setting that I said. I mean, it's not a setting, it is just the configuration that we are about to confirm if it has correctly set or not. So it says node 2 now instead of node 1, and just to confirm I'll have to check the host name. It says node2.cluster.com. If I check the configuration by typing if config, now it shows ETH0, which is for 147.43.0.2, ETH1, which is for 192.168.0.2. So like I said, I have changed the adapter names or the numbers or whatever it is, ETH0 or ETH1. From ETH2 to ETH3 it is ETH0 and ETH1 now, and for those effects to take place correctly, we'll have to reboot the machine, and we have done that already. Now we have to start. So now it is nowhere related to the ETH1, the node 1. It is a clone of node 1, but we have made all the changes that were required to be that can give the difference between the node 1 and node 2. So it is pretty obvious and an understood fact that node 1 should not have any similarity in its physicalness when we compare it to node 2. So node 1 has got its own ETH0 adapter with a different MAC address, ETH1 adapter with a different MAC address, whereas when we check the MAC address of node 1, we will find a lot of difference. So I am checking the ETH0. This adapter is actually ETH0. Instead of opening the machine, that will again take time. I'll click on advanced. So this is the MAC address, which is absolutely different. Okay, and for interconnect or the private IP, click on advanced. This is the private IP MAC address, the ETH1 MAC address basically. Okay, so this is, like we've just seen, it is totally different from node 2's IP address, MAC address. So we have made certain changes now, and rest of the changes, the prerequisites that are the major prerequisites that are pretty mandatory, of course, we will start doing it now. So for that we will have to start the storage area network, and then we will start the node 1, and then we'll see the connectivity between node 1 and node 2 as independent machines, but they are going to work in a cluster. So all those things we will have to set it up first, and then we will start working on the major prerequisites.